Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached now the end of Cybersec Global 2020, the 15th edition of the Cybersec conference. And what a day it has been. We have started with the strong acknowledgement of the security crisis unfolding in front of our eyes, a crisis that even 2 decades ago would be hard to imagine for most of us. In face of a possible Russian military aggression against Ukraine and the West, we have to tackle a great challenge. It is a challenge to our unity, to our security, and to the values that we hold most dearly in our hearts. As NATO Deputy Secretary General has starkly stated today, we stand on a crossroads. We face a very real prospect of war in Europe for a first moment in decades. But also, as Mircea Joanna underlined, NATO and NATO allies will not compromise on their principles. Instead, we must prepare and hold firm to be able to protect these principles, as the assault on them will be undertaken with all means possible, from military to technological. Recent weeks and months have already proven that technology is and will grow to be instrumental in the unfolding crisis. We have heard many news of cyber attacks, first on the Ukrainian state, then also on the Canadian government, and on the other side of the border, on the Belarusian railway infrastructure just hours ago. As indicated by Deputy Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine, all recent forms of cyber aggression against Ukraine were carefully orchestrated to accompany crucial diplomatic negotiations at the international level, in order to alter the results and create effects that will diminish the ability of democratic societies to conduct a rules-based dialogue. We must comprehend that the threat does not stop here. As indicated by the military practitioners in the defense panel discussion today, with the current pace of technological development, there is a technological thunderstorm approaching that in fact will be a game changer. Emerging and disruptive technologies, from deep learning and robotics to quantum computing, will put defense and cyber defense, in particular, on an accelerated lane. Then, as these technologies are becoming more and more implemented into solutions enabling our businesses, administrations, and societies to function, a key issue emerges, one of the cybersecurity of these technologies themselves. Endeavors aimed to corrupt algorithms, infect datasets, or render autonomous devices malicious are some of tomorrow's challenges that are already nearing on us. To be ready, both NATO allies and democratic societies must think in comprehensive ways about what threats can be born on the intersections between technology, society, and economy in an increasingly complex world. Luckily, we are not sleepwalking into this future. As the Vice President of the European Commission, Margarita Schinas, has shown us today, Europe is working rapidly to secure its way of life. Europe aims to increase resilience in cyberspace, build capacity to deter and respond to cyber aggression, and to defend rule of law and democratic values. European Commission and the rest of the European Union will continue to lead on this process, with the new EU Cyber Resilience Act, including legislation on ICT standardization, the Joint Cyber Unit, the EU Cyber Policy Review, and the European Cybersecurity Competence Center, just as it already did with the ongoing revision of the NIS Directive. But the EU, under the French presidency in the Council, has also the ambition to build up its strategic autonomy, which, as William Leca has underlined to us today, has to include various digital issues with cybersecurity at the forefront, but also including 5G, cloud, or innovation. As stressed by many of the speakers today, these endeavors should be implemented in a way that paves road for more inclusive, also gender-wise, cybersecurity sector that will be driven by public-private partnerships. In that respect, it has to be highlighted that both the public and the private sector need each other to be able to build solutions that are tailored to respond to real-world challenges and not chimeras. Today, technology companies are often at the center of our social and political functioning, as they provide infrastructure and solutions that are vital to our everyday life. They are, therefore, key stakeholders in the process of governance, and as such, should be engaged into a pan-societal dialogue on technology application, as well as should be held accountable for their conduct. But also, let's recall once again that it was Microsoft that has unveiled and analyzed the recent cyber attack on Ukrainian government networks, as well as many other intrusions in recent months and years. Companies like these are often at the forefront, as they constitute the first line of defense against cyber attacks. Technical solutions and situational awareness that private sector exceeds at should be combined with social sensitivity and deeper understanding of socio-political context on the side of both public administrations, but also civil society, organizations such as watchdogs and think tanks. Multi-stakeholder and multilateral approach is a must if we want to build a human-centric internet and values-based digital world, as was stressed today by the German cyber ambassador. We need both technical expertise and a deeper and independent reflection driven by the foundations of rule of law, democratic oversight, and the legacy of philosophical inquiry. Western philosophers from Aristotle to Heidegger have shed light on the nature of technology. Technology has its own mode of being. It changes the way we perceive and interact with the world. It is precisely for this reason that we need endeavors like conferences that serve as a platform of debate and reflection. Because as much as we interact with technology, technology interacts with us, and there is a mutual agency in this relation. We talked about values and principles at Cybersec a lot today. So there are three that I would like to underline tonight. First is what the Greeks called Andreia and the Romans called virtue. It is courage, bravery, or firmness of heart in face of threatening obstacles. The other one played a huge role in Poland's and free society's history. It is solidarity, a great proof that ideas have historical consequences. We need solidarity to remain united and empathic to each other's fears and aspirations. And the third one is a special one. It is rationality. Rationality used to be considered by many whom we deem founding fathers and founding mothers of our society as a key principle guiding human conduct. So in these increasingly dangerous times, as the threat of escalation is more tangible than ever, I have but one message to you today. Let the reason prevail. Wisely governed technologies will help to protect the values we hold so dear. Dialogue and reflection-driven technological transformation can help us to remain true to our principles and to build a more human-centric technological world, one we will feel safe to inhabit. We hope that today's conference has provided for a small contribution to that effort. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us, and I would like to wholeheartedly thank all of our tremendous speakers for making their effort to share their ideas with us today. Cybersec Global 2020 is now officially closed. Good night.